Hello, this is Mrs. Carnahan, and today we're going to be continuing the 7-2 notes on similar polygons. So we separated this part of the section because we want to stress the importance of the perimeters of similar polygons theorem. So the perimeters of similar polygons theorem says that if two polygons are similar, then their perimeters are proportional to the scale factor. And remember, the scale factor we found in the last video, how to find the scale factor. Perimeter, remember, is the distance around an object. So it's the lengths of the sum of all the sides. So because it's the sum of the sides, it's proportional, just like the sides are proportional to the scale factor. So in example 4, we have ABCDE is similar to RSTUV. We want to find the scale factor of ABCDE to RSTUV because just like when solving for the sides, I need the scale factor first in order to find the perimeter. So our first step, remember, is to find the scale factor. And this one specified the order it wants the scale factor in. It wanted from ABCDE, so the first one, to the second one. Okay, so I need to look for things, sides that match up. So I see this 4 here, and that one looks like an easier one to match up. If that's 4, this one's also 4. So I'm going to label anything that's the same. So same thing over here. I have 7 on one of these, so 7 is on the other because those have the congruent symbol. Same thing over here with the 10.5. This is also 10.5. All right. So now I need to find the scale factor. So I'm going to match up this 4 with the 7. The 4 and the 7 match up. And I'm going from left to right. So I'm going from 4 to 7 for my scale factor because that's what it told me in the directions. Okay, now when I want to find the perimeters, I need to make sure I have all of the sides of at least one of the shapes. So if I'm looking at both of these, the first one's missing 2 sides. I'm missing A, B, and DC. The second one, once I've labeled everything, is only missing this one, ST. So I'm going to solve for that ST first. I'm going to make that X to solve for that side. And I'm going to use my scale factor just like we did before to set up a proportion to find a side. And the X matches up with the 6. And again, I went from left to right, 4 to 7, so I need to go from 6 to X. Left to right again. Once I cross multiply, I'll solve for that side. So I have 4 times X equals 6 times 7 is 42. And then I'm going to divide by 4. And we get X equals 10.5. So now I have all of the sides of this polygon. And when I add all these sides up, 7, 7, 10.5, 10.5, and the other 10.5, when I add that up, I got 45.5. Okay. So if I want to find the perimeter of the other one, I know it's proportional to the scale factor, which is 4 to 7. And again, in the same order, I need to set up another proportion. So 4 over 7, and I went from left to right to get 4 to 7, so then I need to go left to right. Now this perimeter I don't know, so I'm going to leave that as P for perimeter. You could use another X or a Y. And then I compare perimeter to perimeter. So this perimeter to the 45.5. Now I have a proportion where I can solve for P. So I'm going to cross multiply. And I have 4 times 45.5 is 182. So I have 7P equals 182. If I divide by 7, I should end up with P equals 26. Okay, so just like with the sides, I can set up a proportion comparing the scale factor to the perimeters. We'll do that again for this next problem. So this time it gives us a similarity statement. LMNOP is similar to VWXYZ. And it says find the perimeter of each polygon. So I need to start with finding my scale factor again. Now this one didn't give me a shape to shape, so you can either go left to right, or I typically use the similarity statement to set up that scale factor. Oops. So for scale factor, I go in the order of the similarity statement unless it gives me something else. Okay, and this one didn't. So this time I'm actually going from right to left. Now I need to compare some sides. So it looks like I have PO that matches up with ZY. And so I'm going to go from right to left this time. So 8 to 6. Again, it's not really going to matter in this one because it didn't say to find the scale factor. So you could have found the scale factor going the other way, which would be just fine for this problem. All right, to simplify that, I'm going to divide by 2 for each one to get 4/3 from my scale factor. So I'm going to use that in my proportion to find the perimeters. Now I need to look back here. I don't have enough information in the first polygon, but if I look at the second one, I can label some things that are congruent. I have an 8 here for PO, and MN is the same. LM is the same as LP, so that's also 16. So when I add up 16 plus 16 plus 8 plus 12 plus 8, I should get the perimeter is 60. Okay, which means I need to find the perimeter of this one because I don't have that yet. All I have is the 6. So I'm going to go from the same direction I went before. I went right to left. I need to go from right to left again. So I'm going to take 60 over P for the perimeters. And now I can cross multiply. So 4 times P is 4P. 3 times 60, we get 180. And then divide by 4. And we should get P equals 45. So the perimeter of the first one was 45, the perimeter of the second one was 60. Okay, so just like we did with the sides, setting up a very similar proportion. Go ahead and try this U-try. And then we'll go over the answers, so pause the video if you need to. Okay, so for this one, it gives us all this information, but it's also labeled in the picture. I have all 3 sides of one triangle, so when we add those up, we should get 84 for the sum. And then I need to find the perimeter of the first one. Now the only side I have in the first one is this KG, which is 5, which matches up with WT. You can always double check your similarity statement. WT matches up with K and G. Okay, so when I write my scale factor, again, you can write it either way. I usually go in the direction of the similarity statement, which in this case is left to right. So I'm going to write my scale factor as 5/12. And that can't be simplified. And now I'm going to set up my proportion. So my scale factor equals, and again I went left to right, so I have to go left to right again. So P is, the first one I don't know, so that I'm leaving as P. The second one I know is 84. And then when we cross multiply, we get 12P equals 420. And then we divide by 12, and we should get the perimeter of the first one to be 35. All right, and that's it for perimeter. Again, it's very similar to finding a missing side. You could use your scale factor to set up a proportion in the same order as the sides.